Greetings, everybody, from Saratoga County, New York. Today is April 4th, 2019. It is a beautiful sunny day. Highs are in the low 40s today, and we're supposed to be getting an inch or two of snow, actually, tomorrow night. Shouldn't really be too much of a problem up here, but this is not uncommon for the beginning of April. Yes, for those of you tuning in from warmer climates, it can snow in upstate New York in April. There are even some parts in the Adirondacks that can still get below freezing temperatures or even a coating of snow in May. Again, we don't think this is going to amount to much of anything, but it would be more of a nuisance than it is a hazard. So today we are going to talk about the special 35th anniversary edition of Ratt's 1984 debut album, Out of the Cellar. It was released on March 27th of 1984, which was last week. I do apologize for the bit of the delay here. It's been almost 2 months, or a little over 2 months since the last video, so I am a bit behind schedule. I apologize for that one. So, a little background information about the band. Ratt is a heavy metal hard rock band based out of San Diego, California originally, but they moved to Los Angeles where those music genres were bigger, because in San Diego there were mostly blues bands and they couldn't get a gig. So they took the 2-hour trip north to Los Angeles, and that's where, of course, all the heavy metal, glam metal, and melodic hard rock of the 1980s were based. And in none other than the Sunset Strip. The band started out as Mickey Ratt back in 1973, I believe. Lead singer Stephen Pearcy was the founder and is still the lead singer today. Not consistently, but he is the lead singer as of today. And the band has gone through a lot of lineup changes. We had Jake E. Lee. He was the guitarist for the band before he went to go play with Ozzy Osbourne. I think those was the only old member that I would really say. So you have the 1980s bands focusing in Los Angeles. Ratt was one of them, and they became an outgrowth of Van Halen, because Van Halen was popular in the late 70s, also on the Sunset Strip. And Stephen Pearcy actually met David Lee Roth from Van Halen back in 1977, 78, right when Van Halen was about to release their first record. And Stephen Pearcy is a guitar player originally, and he wanted to speak to Eddie Van Halen instead of David Lee Roth, but he took what he could get. So, a little bit more about the album, because I know you guys want me to get to it. Out of the Cellar, 10 songs. Pretty good record. I wouldn't say it's my favorite record of the 80s scene or of the glam metal genre as a whole, but it is a very good record, and especially with that decade-defining song, Round and Round, still played on a lot of radio stations to this day, mostly classic rock radio, but it is still out there. And of course, actually that is actually the only radio staple from that album. Wanted Man was a cult hit by the group, and then everything else, like Back for More especially, that was a big cult hit for the group in their early days. And 1984 was a very different year than, of course, 2019. Ronald Reagan was president. Economy was doing a lot better. I mean, it is doing okay now, but not as good as it was then. And it was the 80s. Everybody looked ridiculous. Everybody did a lot of things just because they could. And, I mean, nothing illegal, but, well, I should hope nothing illegal. I didn't grow up in that time. But the 80s was a lot different than the 90s, and the 90s was different than the 2000s, and 2000s is different than the 2010s. So, mostly about this record. It's a very good record. It's got a few solid tracks on it. that I definitely recommend giving a listen, especially, of course, Round and Round, Back for More. The Morning After is pretty good too, and I'm Insane is quite the rocker. And quite the kicker. If I do say so myself. So there's not really a whole lot I can say about this album except, well, just give it a listen. And Ratt is still touring today, and not completely original members. There's 2 of them left, Stephen Piercy and Juan Crucier. The other 3, one got fired, one died, and the other was terminated from the band. I guess you could say he was terminated because of the legal court issues. And he's been Bobby Blotzer, the drummer, who was fighting the legalities of the trademark and the catalog and rights to tour and all that. We have not heard a peep from him since, God, it was like from 2017, it was like 2016 till about the end of 2018 till it was all said and done. And I really haven't heard anything from him since. So he lost, and now he tried to pull a fast one, and he ends up with nothing. But it does not make the debut album, Out of the Cellar, any less spectacular than it already is. I definitely recommend giving it a listen. You can find it on YouTube. And I will say, stay tuned for another anniversary video for an entirely different group, from an entirely different genre, from an entirely different generation and genre of music. I think I said genre, excuse me. Stay tuned for that one. That will be coming up on April 12th. And of course, stay tuned later this year for Michael Cachoian Behind the Music. I've already started writing the script for it, and we want to roll it out this year. Alright, well, have a good night, everybody, and enjoy the nice weather.